So don't leave me, baby. Don't leave me, baby. Talk to it. And it's house, just take a home. And it's time.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Bridge City Radio 100.7 FM KCLA. I'm your host, Vic Bustillos.
What's going on? I'm Frank Contreras coming to you live.
Yes. And in the studio today, man. I'm back in the studio.
I'm back.
This is a man who has introduced a slew of new Latin talent to the stage over the span of numerous singles on his own record label and continues to put out new artists today. He is the reason behind Club Fire, Rockers on the Waterfront, Barrio Funky, Babalu to Boogaloo, Soul Tropical, and many more. The pirate of the Caribbean himself, King Steady Beat.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. So nice to be back.
Now,
Wow.
glad to have you back, man.
Glad to be back.
For those of you who don't know, we've had King Steady Beat in the studio in the past, and he played a beautiful set for us.
Make sure you go back and check it out.
Definitely. We'll archive those, and you can take a listen later.
That was a good time.
Yeah, but we're glad to have you back now, man. And this time we want to get personal, bro. We want to know a little bit about you and who you are, man. So
do it.
Without further ado, let's get into the life of King Steady Beat.
All right.
So obviously, one question I like to ask, from the beginning, where were you born, bro?
I was born in Harbor General, right here in Carson.
Nice. So native to the Harbor area.
Same as me.
South
Right.
Bay.
Good, man. And when you were growing up, what kind of music was played in your home?
In my home, I had like two different worlds going on. My mom liked all the cumbias and tropical music, and my father liked all the rancheras and mariachi music. My mom also liked mariachi music, but my mom, she was more tropical, Sonora Santanera, Carmen Rivero, Mickey Laude. She was all into all of that 60s cumbia and rock and roll. She was into that, Los Abson, a lot of those 60s bands, Los Hooligans that she was into.
Right.
A lot of those bands, Los Hermanos Carrion, she was into all of that, and her sisters got into all that. So that was kind of stuff I used to listen to. The song that she loved was Rosa Maria. Rosa Maria, it's a cumbia song.
Wow,
That band's from TJ, Los Moonlights. And so I was exposed to all of that. And then my dad, he was all into Los Cadetes. He was into Jose Alfredo. He was into the old rancheras, Gerardo Reyes, all those. Not too much Vicente Fernandez, though. My mom didn't like that guy either. I don't know. But, there was a lot of mix of music like that around the households. And we're a large family. There's a total of 8 kids.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of birthday parties.
Yeah, well, I
So
bet. It's a lot of music.
Every birthday party, you either had a conjunto
Nice.
that was playing the covers, the Rigo Tovar covers and all that, or you had a DJ playing some music, all that music.
Sweet.
Right? So all my life, I was exposed to that.
What city was this in now?
This was in San Pedro and Wilmington.
Okay.
I lived in San Pedro up until I was 7, and then moved to Wilmington. And then I was in Wilmington up until I was like in my mid-20s. And then I moved back, short, Pico Rivera, Long Beach. And then by the time I think I was 26, I was back in San Pedro.
Okay.
So been here since then.
As a child, listening to the music that your parents played, is that primarily the music that you felt in your heart that you loved, or was there something else that you listened to that was yours, that you can call like, this is my music, this is what I love?
Well, growing up, I remember, I think I was like 4 or 5 years old. And one of the first songs I remember was Billy, Don't Be a Hero. And that other song by Terry Jacks, Seasons in the Sun.
Okay.
That kind of music was, and War.
Oh, of course.
War was big because the neighborhood I lived in, right across the alley, it was a big Cholo family that lived there.
Okay.
And I was listening to the oldies. So I was, when I would listen to that, I used to love War. I mean, not Lowrider.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, that's the hit.
Yes.
Redbone, Come
Oh,
and Get Your
wow.
Love.
oh yeah.
That period in 74 to 77 was where I really started sucking up music that was not
From
that
your
I
parents.
literally grew up
Right.
listening since I was born.
Yes.
And then after that, by the time I was I think by the time I was 8 or 9 or 10, my older brothers, they played the Beatles. So
Okay.
I got into the Beatles hardcore.
Good.
All the Beatles, listened to all that stuff. And then by the time I was 13, I was already buying records.
Okay. Good. That was actually, I wanted to know how old were you when you got
Right.
your
Well,
first
see,
record?
All these influences, and by the time by 13, I'm like, I think I have a paper route now. I think I have money to buy some records.
Buy
And
your
that's
own.
when I-
Can you remember one of the first records or groups you bought?
Yes.
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah.
That's my question. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
And the first 2 records I bought were at a swap meet.
Okay.
It was at the Vermont swap meet.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And I remember like,
Wow.
and you don't know titles. You
No.
don't know titles. So I'm like, oh, I'm going through stuff, and I remember about El Chicano,
Oh
Okay.
man,
Satisfy Me Woman.
man.
And the B-side, I believe, is Last Tango in Paris,
Okay.
I think. But it was that record. And the other one was I Want You Back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Jackson's. Because I
Wow.
recognized, Jackson's, that must be good.
Yeah.
Hey, I want, so at 13. So then, and then after that, I remember buying Madness, the Best of Madness. I remember buying that.
Yes.
And then I started buying some more ska, and then after that I lost track, because then you start building up a little collection, and then
Yeah,
you
of
just
course.
go
Buying
deep.
everything.
Of
You
course.
start going deep.
Yeah.
You can't wait to go out to a record shop and just start
Man.
come home with stuff, right?
Yeah, no, definitely not, man. Would you say that at that point you knew that you wanted to be a DJ once you started buying records?
Yeah, I will see. The thing is that at that point there were you couldn't say I'm going to be a DJ professionally,
Mhm.
because that really didn't exist aside from being a radio DJ.
Right.
Okay, got
right.
you.
You know, this is like the early 80s, and the only DJs that I remember seeing is the DJ I saw in videos for like Buffalo Gals, and
Yes.
when that stuff was out, and like
Yeah.
that's a street DJ. Okay, and then once that comes out, you realize, actually DJs actually produce stuff. They actually make beats. They actually
Yeah.
can do that. And but that was like, that's far flung. Right now, I just want to play records. I just want to play records, and and there's so much good music coming out at that point. It was 83, 84.
Oh yeah.
All that electro boogie was coming out.
Yeah.
All that was happening, and I was just like, bring it on.
Good.
And I remember one of the first 12-inch singles I bought was Red Wine,
Mm,
because that was hot and it
Mhm.
was reggae.
Yeah.
yes.
And people were like, what? It's reggae from England? Yeah, it's reggae from England, but whatever. Where's reggae from?
Yeah, which is weird, right?
you don't
'Cause a
even
lot of
know
people
when you're
don't
a kid.
expect it to be from England,
Well,
but
actually,
just
when
half
you're-
of it came from there. It's
But
like-
when you're a kid, you don't even know it comes from Jamaica.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's just reggae. It sounds
Reggae.
cool,
you just think instantly dreadlocks, and African American people, but
And then you see the video, and you're like, wait a minute, these guys are white.
White guys. Yeah. Hey man, I bought that record when it came out.
yeah, definitely
I
had it on
still got it.
45.
I
man.
have the 12-inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Wow.
black 12-inch.
So then I started on that trip, and then at 13, I remember playing my first gig. It was a house party. It was my uncle's house party,
Okay.
and it was me and my friend Eddie, and we really had just a Pioneer turntable, a Gemini mixer. No, it wasn't a Gemini. It was a Radio Shack mixer.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Realistic.
Realistic one.
Okay, see,
Yeah.
that's what you got.
Yes.
That's what that was.
Right now, you
that's
talk
what it
about it,
was.
like, people are like, what is that? No,
Yeah.
dude,
That's what it was.
you got.
Yeah.
And a cassette deck.
Yeah, yeah.
Dual cassette deck. Oh,
Yeah, go
dual
back and
cassette
forth.
deck, man.
It worked, if
Oh, yeah.
you knew.
Oh, yeah.
Rewind that real quick, man. So you
Yeah.
get it up, play that record. How long is that record? Let's go. So you did, and we blew out a speaker that day because we were using house speakers, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all
But
right.
But you
man.
got to start somewhere, and that's where I
Yeah.
started. And then from there, me and Eddie were like, man, I think this is what we want to do, man. We got that. You got the energy from the crowd.
Yes.
You play a couple tracks and like, oh, yeah, this is cool. And like, oh man, I remember we played Bataram.
Oh yeah,
Batarang.
Toddy
Nice.
T.
remember
Oh,
that?
man.
Yeah.
Great tune.
Yeah. And oh man, and it was cool. And then after that, you're like, we want to keep doing this. And then within 2 years, he had bought his first pair of Techniques. I lent
Oh,
him half the
wow.
money to buy them.
Oh wow.
And then we became a team. And then that's when the whole P-Boy thing started up. By the
Yeah.
time we were 6 and 17, we started doing backyard house parties, doing all the disco, the high energy disco, all the electro boogie. And that's what I was buying. That's what I was having because JDC Records. They're in San Pedro.
Yep.
Okay.
And at that point, because we were making flyers, I would go to them and say, "Hey, you want to sponsor our event? We'll put you on the flyer." And they're like, "Sure, we'll do it."
Yeah.
And they're like, "You know what? Here's a $30 credit."
Nice.
Dig. And back then, 12-inch singles were $3.99.
Yeah, $3.99. I remember
Pick
that.
up 10 singles.
So
man.
yeah, dude, you'd come up. I'm like, dude, I just came up. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
and that's, you got to hustle, and that's how you start up. And before you know it, you're doing these gigs out of your town. You're working with promoters in LA, in East LA, working the Kennedy Hall, working all these different spots. DQ's downtown,
That's nice,
DQ's
bro.
on Soto's. If you remember some of this stuff, La Casa, you start doing some of that stuff.
Lafayette.
You start like, oh, look, I'm getting popular. You start working in West LA at some of these banquet
Wow.
halls, and you're like,
Yep.
yeah, cool.
Moving up, man.
Yeah, but that's short lived, because within a year the music starts changing. It's like,
Yeah.
and so that was like a whole era for me
Okay.
that kind of ended in the early 90s.
You mentioned P-Boy, and what exactly was that?
Oh, that was a party crew that
Okay,
I
got you.
belonged to in the mid 80s,
Wow.
86, 87.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember seeing that on flyers back with La Chic Attractions, Modern Music, Bazaar. Well, it was Bazaar and La Chic, and under that umbrella was
Yeah.
all these different groups from the
Right.
area, and that was huge.
Yeah.
They even had the lady promoters like La Chic Ladies or
Yeah, they'd be selling out the San Marco Hall like
Wow.
Samarica, Big
once
John.
or twice a
Wow.
month. Yeah, exactly.
Huge band.
Yeah.
I was
Mm.
there too. I remember those. That's a major influence on me too, because I was coming up as a DJ. I'm a little younger than you, but I was looking up to you guys, man. I was like, this is what I want to do. We were sort of like celebrities in our city
Yeah, exactly.
as DJs.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be a DJ, be part of a party crew, and it was
Yeah.
just a great time to be a DJ.
Yeah, and then you had these whole party crews that were just girls. So
Oh,
who didn't want to
yes.
be a DJ with party?
Yeah, right.
Party girls.
They all come in together, man. See, I'm a little younger than you guys, so I was still under curfew when you guys were out doing this stuff. I wanted to hang out, man. Don't get me wrong, but
Well,
gee.
all that kind of ended in the early 90s, because after that the raves started coming in.
Yeah,
It wasn't the same
yeah, it was
anymore.
different by then.
You couldn't just have a backyard party and go party. It's like, no, you gotta go ahead and go to this meeting point and meet some guy, and then he'll give you an address and go there, and then
Yeah, it was
then he's
undercover.
going to give you directions somewhere else, just to
Yeah.
weed out the cops,
Yeah, filter it out.
Totally different era.
Yeah.
and that's what that was. And then that's when it was a little different, because I was asked to DJ a couple of those too, and they're like, but I'm like, I don't play that. You're like, no, we want to hear this old disco stuff,
Wow, that's
just to
awesome.
break up. And,
Right.
and I'd go in there and I'm like, this is not the same. This is not the same. The crowd was younger, but they were like more crazier, into heavier drugs, into
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, balloons
man.
and all that.
Oh, dude, it was like
Ecstasy
nitrogen. I
and
don't know,
yeah.
dude.
All
It was
good.
just, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is out of control. This is too much.
Yeah, it was
I'm too
different.
old for this, and I'm over here like 20 years old, right?
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
I'm too old for
Yeah.
this. So, yeah.
And this
So-
is what, like, you're about 16 at this time?
no, this is by the time I'm 20.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're 20 years old.
I'm like,
Got
I'm
you.
20, and I'm realizing, man, these
Yeah,
young
yeah.
kids are out of control. This is
Yeah.
3 years, 2 years. Things changed
Yeah.
crazy.
It was
right?
different music too at that
Yeah.
time.
They started getting to house, and house was like a good year and a half after that. It got techno, hardcore,
Yeah.
hardcore, and then it was stuff you couldn't even recognize.
Do you remember Mars FM?
Yeah.
It was a station Mars
103,
FM.
103.1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They played all that crazy music.
Yeah.
I was already out of it by then too. I'm talking about when we were doing it. It was like Trenier and Debbie Deb and Cover
Right,
Girls
yes,
and
right.
Lime and
Lime.
Forbidden Lover. Those
Wow.
kind of groups.
Transex.
Transex.
Living on video.
So again, Frank, I don't know if you caught this, but we've had several interviewees come in where we interview them, and we like to ask these core questions.
Yeah.
And it seems like so far there hasn't been one person that said they were 13 years old when they started,
Oh,
which
wow.
is very interesting. Very interesting, because
Yeah.
I was 13,
Yeah.
Frank was 13. And about 3 other guests that we've had
Yeah,
said
yeah.
they were 13. So
That's
it's like a
coming of
core
age.
number, right?
Yeah. Well, you start realizing this is what I want.
This is what I want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at this moment, you don't just DJ, correct? At this time in your life.
Oh no, the journey I've been on has been wild, crazy one. I've taken some pit stops. I've camped out and done nothing for a while,
Okay.
but kept moving. And now I'm just like moving fast.
Yes.
There's a lot of things going on.
You're into production, correct?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
I'm producing records, producing my own records.
That's
that I'm
beautiful,
doing,
man.
Producing other bands, pressing records, getting records out, And yeah, I'm just in the mix.
At what age did you decide, or did you realize, like, you know what, I love playing records, but I want to do something more, and started thinking about producing?
Well, I was around 1920 when I kind of like weaned off DJing for a while. You got a job, you start adulting, kind of. You start, I don't have time for this. Got a girlfriend, and then your weekends are spent watching movies, going to the movies, hanging out, just doing the couple thing, and that's cool. While your friends are like, "Bro, when are we going out again?" I'm like,
Well, part of being a DJ was to get the girls.
Yeah.
So once you got the girl, you're like, I'm gonna step back now.
I'm not a DJ anymore.
Yeah.
The goal has been achieved.
Yeah. I got the girl now.
So that happened, and then it wasn't until I'd say, well, we broke up, obviously, and then between a mutual friend of mine hit me up. He said, "Hey man, I have a friend who's into bands. He's into bands, and I thought of you because you're a DJ and you know about parties and stuff and how to put parties together, because he wants to put a party together."
Okay.
I'm like, "Ooh, with bands?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What kind of bands?" "Ska bands." I'm like, "Ska bands? Who listens to ska nowadays?" Because remember, this is like 91, 92, and the whole two-tone era was like already winning off.
Dying out.
And there was this thing called the third wave that was coming, where all these new bands were coming out, like the Toasters, and Moon Records was really like coming of age at that moment. And he asked me, so I met the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, man." And he was a skinhead and he just wanted to do all this stuff. I'm like, "Great, you know what? Let's do it." He lived in Compton. So I said, "What do you want to do?" He was, "I want to book this band, Orange Street and the Israelites." And he mentioned
Oh, wow.
a couple other ones. I'm like, "You know what? Well, before if I'm going in on with you, I want to go check out these bands. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure there's something behind it. I just want to go blindly and say,
Yeah,
yeah, let's book
yeah.
these bands, and realize there's some crazy hardcore ska punk bands." So went to an Orange Grove in, I don't know, wherever the Orange Groves are.
Yeah.
And they were rehearsing there. It was Orange Street. They were rehearsing there, and I'm like, "Wow, incredible." And I said, "Yeah, man, I think we can do this." And on the way back home, we're already plotting out. And I'm like, "Listen, all right, we don't have a place. We'll use my parents' backyard. We'll use that. It has enough room. We'll move everything out." And I said, "One thing we need is a because at this point I had already gone to like a couple backyard shows. I said, we need a stage." They're like, "Why?" I said, "Because you can't see the band from the back.
Yeah.
If you have a stage, it makes it feel more professional."
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I said, "Listen to me, I'm a professional, right?"
yeah. Hell
He's
yeah.
like, "Well, I have an uncle." I said, "Listen, how much is it going to cost?" And after a while, he's like, we talked a week later. He's like, "It's going to be about $150. I said, "Let's do it. I'll let's go halvers, and then we'll make our money back. And on top of it, we're going to keep the stage.
yeah. For
And
the
we're going to
next
use
one.
it again."
Mhm.
And we used it for like about 4 other backyard parties. Until
At your mom's house.
No.
Okay.
So
I'm trying to envision your mom and your dad, like, "¿Qué chingados están jugando these guys, this ska music and a
Well,
Mexican family, or
at
what
that moment-
nationality are you anyways?"
I'm Mexican.
Okay.
At that point, I was going to college. I was in college, and I had college friends that were like, "Dude, we're going to record the whole show." I'm like, "Perfect. Come on
Oh,
down."
man.
And I told my mom, "Look, this is a college project."
Oh, man. It worked out. that way.
And you know what? There's gonna be some money made, and I'll break you off. All right, just stay in your room. Don't worry about it.
Good,
There's
good.
nothing you can do about it. It's
Yeah,
happening.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm 20 years old. 20.
And this was in Wilmington?
Wilmington, yeah.
Wow.
And I was 21,
The
22 years
roots.
old.
Yeah.
So then we do the show. It goes well. My friends record it, and then let's do another one. So we do another
Wow.
show in Southgate with Mobtown and I forgot the other band. And then we do another show, and then we do a show in my father's junkyard, right there in the junkyards in Wilmington, off of East Street.
Wow.
And we clean up the whole junkyard, but you can't really clean up junkyards. We just
Made
put
room.
we just put covers over the transmissions and engines and everything. And actually, the DJ setup was on top of the tow truck, the back of the tow
Wow.
truck. And we had a keg, and we're selling the cups for $5. And hey, whatever.
All you can drink, huh?
And then we had that same guy who had introduced me to the homie. He was my traffic director, and he was directing traffic.
Yeah.
And then that area is all empty at night.
Wow.
So
man.
when there was cars lined up on the whole everywhere, cops
Man.
drove by. Like, "Well, what's happening here?" And they thought it was a rave.
Oh wow.
So they sent in the helicopters. They sent him 12 cop cars, descended on us, and then no one got arrested. But my buddy and his girlfriend got a $500 ticket each
Mm.
because she was charging, right?
Mhm.
And then like, "Who's in charge?" And I was DJing. I'm like, "I am." Like, just a DJ, bro. I want who's in charge. And they saw her with the money. I'm like, you don't believe me? Whatever. So they gave her a ticket, and then me and Ray had to go to court. And then I'm like, Ray, I'll pay for half of I'll pay for the ticket. So I said, well, let's do another show. He's like, hell no, I'm done. I don't want. I'm like, Ray, listen, we're gonna do another show, last show, and we're gonna do it at your house. He lived in Compton, off of Alameda and 135th. That's not a good neighborhood. And we're gonna do your show, and we're gonna have Ye Olde English play, and we're gonna record it.
Wow.
And we did. And those recordings that we did, I put them on the Black Poos compilation, Volume 1. So that's all recorded. So you can hear the band saying, hey, we ran out of beer, but that's okay. You know, we're going to have a bass player tonight, but we're going to work it.
Wow.
It's just like a party, bro. And like, really, this is what's happening in your backyard? Yes, it was.
Wow.
It's all documented there. It's compilation Volume 1.
I'm still trying to get over that there was a skinhead in Compton. So, I mean, you know, and let's get it straight. I mean, obviously, when we talk about skinhead in the reggae scene,
the Sharps. Sharps.
Yes, skinheads against racial profiling.
Yeah.
But you know, it's completely different from the culture of a normal Comptarian, if that's what you want to call it. But you know,
he's out of place.
But that's awesome. He had big cojones to be having a jam like that at his place, which obviously was pretty successful because you've documented that now on one of your releases.
Right. And then after that, what happened was I had a friend named Jason, the same guy who helped me record that first show.
Okay.
He was my college buddy. He said, hey, listen, they're starting to do shows over at the Hong Kong Cafe in Chinatown. I said, really? What's the deal? He goes, well, they just charging you $100 for the space. You have to bring in your sound system. You have to bring your security, and it's all ages. I'm like, wow, that's incredible, because all ages, you could charge as many people as you want. There's no, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So we started there in January, February, and we just started doing once a month for like 3 months, and then we started doing twice a month, and then we just kept doing all kinds. So much that he didn't want to do so much ska shows. I said, that's cool. I started doing like pop and indie alternative bands, you know, and I just started dealing with a lot of different bands, and from then on, some of the ska bands I was working with, I'm like, do you guys have anything out? And they're like, no. Because I was learning about these new bands, you know. I'd seen them once, but that's all. Then I see them again. I'm like, okay, they're pretty good. Do you have anything? No, we don't. I'm like, listen, let's get something out.
Wow.
Let's put it out together. So little by little, that's how the compilation series came out, because all this stuff was recorded live, and most of the time I'm doing sound for that. And then the cool part about it is that actually I would design the sleeve and do everything. It was DIY myself.
Yeah,
right.
Got it all done, and then the record would come out, and everybody would be happy, and then move on. And it really got serious when I put together the Ska-Authentic compilation. At that point, I was working with a lot of different bands, and I really knew the ska scene really inside and out. I was kind of not only knowing it, I was kind of fostering it.
Yes.
I was
harvesting
not harvesting. I was growing it, because it was young, and and every show I did, I made sure that, because I learned quick. One of the first Hong Kong shows was we booked some ska punk bands with some traditional bands.
Okay.
It didn't go well. The skinheads didn't like the guys jumping up and down, and it was just a bad, and there's fights. and I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. So I concentrated on just booking traditional ska bands. When I say traditional ska bands, it's traditional ska from Jamaica, 60s style.
Yes.
So once I started doing that, you get other people come and see those bands. And then when they see those bands, I want to start a band like that too.
Wow.
And then when that happens, then you have another band, and then another band. And before you know it, the scene starts growing, where I found myself doing like 3 shows a week.
Wow.
At the Alligator Lounge, at the Whiskey, at the Roxy, at the Troubadour, at BB King's, all in 1 week sometimes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It was crazy. I mean, there'd be sometimes where I didn't have anything to do. I'd be out on a date, and I'm like, you know what? Let's go to the Roxy. But it's too expensive. Don't worry about it. We're getting it for free. And then I walk down to the Whiskey. I'm like, you know, let's go down to Troubadour. And it's be like, they know me, and you're in that mix. And
so what year was this?
This was 95, 94, 95, 96, 97. I did New Year's Eve, 1997, 98 at the Whiskey.
Wow.
That's
pretty big,
how
bro.
crazy I was doing. They asked me to come do New Year's Eve there.
That's pretty big.
And I sold it out.
How old were you at this time?
I was in, I'd say, late 20s.
Late 20s. So
20s, 29, I think, 28.
The compilations, those were your first releases that you've ever done.
Yes.
And they're basically recordings of some
Live
of the shows
music
that you've done.
It's all live. They're all live. And then after the third one, I'm like, because what I did, the first one, it was a cassette, right? And it was 4 bands, and each band had 3 songs. And then the second one, I did a 7-inch, and the 7-inch was an EP. It had 2 songs from 2 bands on one side, 2 songs from 2 bands on the other side.
Wow.
And then I did a cassette, volume 2, but that was like 12 songs from those same bands.
Okay, good.
You know, because those are like the single, and then that, and so I did the same thing for the volume 3. I did a volume 3 7-inch, and then a volume 3 cassette. And then after that, that's when I say, you know what, let's just go to the studio, and I started producing. I did the C Spot, you know, a couple of the bands on that compilation. Some bands gave me the recordings, and I put that together. And once I put that together, it really like blew up. It really blew Steady Beat up, and then I got distribution through Sony Red, and I was at all the Tower Record. I was at every major record shop everywhere, and things were going good. And
Wow.
at that point, I was distributing the Ocean 11 CD.
Really?
Then I did the Checkmate CD too, and then after that, things just snowballed. Then I did Mobtown. Then I started working with the Allentons, then the Irie Beats, and then
and so
and
on.
then Blue Beat Stompers, and then you know, it just, that whole era, it was just incredible.
Now, I know you're working with a band called the Eltons, right?
The Altons or the Allentons?
The Altons, is that what they're
There's
called?
2 bands. One
the
is
current, most current is
the Altons.
Altons?
Altons, yes.
So separate band from the Ellentons, right?
The Allentons separate band, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was curious to know that, and I
Wow.
wanted to ask you about that because I was looking back at your discography, and I'm like, oh, wow. So I wonder if they kind of evolved from the
Well-
Allentons or Allentons.
No, the Allentons are they're their own group. They're part of the early time where I was doing. Actually, I did their 45. I did their first 45.
Wow.
Pyramid 5 is a hell of a song.
Okay.
That song is you know the movie Pyramid 5?
No.
Oh,
What
no,
was-
Stargate. You know the movie Stargate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's inspired by Stargate.
Wow. Okay.
So it
nice.
sounds very ooh.
Well, I gotta hear it.
Odyssey, very Odyssey.
Yeah, and it's a ska song, but it's like da, da,
Nice.
da, 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 da. It works. So I did that 7-inch, and then we did an album with them. I did an album with them, and then actually I did 2 albums with the Allentons. Me and them, we worked together a lot.
Where are you guys doing the recordings at? Different places, local or?
No, actually, during that time, Brian Dixon, he was in Checkmate, and when you don't have a lot of bands in LA, well, you do have bands, but then you don't want to keep booking the same band every 2 weeks.
Yes.
You want to go ahead and have some variation.
Right.
So this band Checkmate, I'm like, okay, they're a traditional band too. They're playing the same style.
Yeah.
They're from Fresno. So I called them, and he's like, yeah, we're down to play. So they came down and played a show, and Brian was like, he was like, dude, this is what I want. These are the bands I want to work with. This is where I want to be. I'm like, wait, hey, well, come down and we'll, you could, I'll book you.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be a sound man. So he disappeared for a while and became a sound man. And then he came back and he started working for a place called Signet Sound Deluxe,
Okay.
professional studio in Hollywood. They do all the soundtracks for movies.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Brian Dixon, if you look up his Discogs, he's
Wow.
like about 75 pages.
Wow.
He's been on so many soundtracks and on a mixer. He's a mixing guy.
Yeah.
He's done everything. He's done mixing for me. And he's done the Amento Buru mix down. I mean, you see him on a bunch of my records. He's
Okay.
he's my engineer.
Wow.
My engineer.
Right.
Till this day.
No, my new engineer is Donald.
Okay.
Soul Station #1, and he's also connected with the Allentons because when I met him, he was like, I want to be in a traditional ska band, and I know you know a traditional ska band. So yeah, this band, the Allentons, and then they instantly loved him because he played flute, alto, tenor, and Barry.
Nice.
So he's like, man, he's a one-man
He's a
band
woodsman.
almost. So he became part of that band, and he grew up with that band. That was it. And Brian would be producing. He'd be coming in engineering that band, and then he joined. Once he became an engineer here, he joined C Spot. He became a member of C Spot for a while, and then he decided to start his own band, and he called it the Rhythm Doctors.
Okay.
The Rhythm Doctors, and after the Rhythm Doctors, he started the Agrolites, and then he has his own story.
Wow.
And through all this time, we're always working together. He was one of my DJs. Every time I had a club called Rough and Tough in Long Beach, he would be one of the DJs, one of my resident DJs. So during all this time, I was promoting clubs, doing different clubs, different places, and at the same time producing music. So
Wow.
they went hand in hand. So
Right.
sometimes the money that I would make at clubs, I just turn around and
Put it
and
in
this is for the
music.
next
Some
record
records.
pressing right here,
Smart.
and it would just turn around. The stuff would just keep turning around.
Smart. It's
as
all
long as
going
you
to the
had
same
sales.
place, right?
As long as
Yeah,
you had
man.
sales.
That's right. So who would be some of your influences today?
In regards to
Whatever music that inspires you to keep moving. Today, who are some of the artists that say, you know what, I'm waking up in the morning, I've been doing this a long time. Sometimes I know it gets tiring, but these people keep me going. I can't stop. I got to keep doing it.
I that's an inner drive I have.
Yeah.
It's an inner drive.
So
I
your
can't.
yourself would be
It is. It's
Definitely.
myself. It's like there's things I got to do, and something tells me I got to do it.
good.
I don't look at people and say, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What you're gonna?" But I'll be honest. Sometimes I'll see somebody and I see what they're doing, and I'll get inspired by it
Mhm.
to the point where, like, I could do that better.
Good. Good. You got to perfect it.
I got to do that better. I like what you're doing, but I think I could do that better. But that doesn't happen often, right? Because a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is I'm my own guy. I'm forging my own path.
Yes.
I'm cutting through the weeds. I'm a
Yes.
trailblazer.
That's it.
I'm setting it. It's hard for me to look at somebody. It's like I think I want to do what they're doing. Why? They're already doing it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They're already
Yes.
doing it. Do your own thing. And like I tell people, is like a lot of the stuff I design, a lot of stuff I do, and I know people look at it and like, and they lift it, and I see it. That's fine. I don't mind you lifting stuff. I love it. But what I do mind is that you don't have your own ideas.
Right.
Give a little bit of yourself. Do a little
Yes.
work. Get creative.
Yes, because we all have something inside
I don't mind
of
you
us.
lift it, but you
Yeah.
get creative. That means maybe I can lift a little bit from you because
Yes.
no one's original. Everyone lifts from everyone else.
Yes.
You have to understand.
Right.
Definitely.
You have to. There's no one can say this is something brand new. No, you know what? That came from that, and that came from that, and that came from that.
Yeah, there's always an origin.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. And we actually spoke about that, you and I, before, where it's okay if people, I feel the same way. If somebody wants to, for example, a rare 45 that I may have purchased that nobody's ever heard wants to come up to
Right.
the table and say, hey, what song was that? It's okay for me to give you that information. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But there's an etiquette that you need to have when you come up to ask.
Yeah.
You need to have some respect, show some interest or some passion.
You ask. You don't demand. Right?
Yeah, don't demand it or expect it. You know what I mean? And also, there, out of respect, just if somebody's going to lift something from you, especially as unique and esoteric that your productions are, there should be at least some sort of a, hey, you know what, this was inspired by King Steady Beat, man. I look up to the guy for this one. You know what I mean? In my position, that's how I feel.
Give a little shout
Should
out.
always give a little love
Yeah.
back, man.
Let me ask you a question now. For someone who never heard your music or the stuff that you work with, all this, sounds like you have a big arsenal. What would be something you would recommend, like a starter package or a group or an album or a 45 or something to start with to see what your trademark sound is?
Of the stuff that I've produced or stuff that I've DJ'd?
Produced, yeah.
Well, see, the thing is that I started doing ska and reggae up until 2001, and then everything kind of fell apart because Napster came in and all the record stores started shutting down,
Yeah.
and all my tangible product was not valid anymore. They started sending all the CDs back and everything back.
Wow.
All these stores shut down.
Yeah.
All these stores
Yeah, I
shut down.
remember that, yeah.
So all this product I got sent back to me, and like, where am I going to find an outlet to get rid of this?
Yeah.
There was like this dead time where like
Yeah.
no one knows how to monetize this digital stuff yet. And I was like, well, how are we going to survive? Right. And then that's where everyone starts figuring out, well, how are you going to survive? So I cut out of the music scene for a while. I think it was 2002, 2003, for a bunch of different reasons. One, you couldn't make money on it. You couldn't do what you were doing. Basically, the formula had changed.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were trying to figure out, how do I fit into that formula? So, and at the same time, I was having some personal issues with my immediate family, my daughter, and etc. So there was time I needed, I need to handle some personal issues.
Yes.
There's things I got to do because this is all fine and dandy, but there's life that has to happen.
Yeah.
And in order to be where I'm at now, if I wouldn't have done what I did, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd be. So I had to cut out. I cut out for like 4 years. And then through a different series of events, I came back around 2008. And one of the reasons I came back was at the time when I cut out, a lot of the bands I was working with, they expected a certain amount of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the scene was changing, and that type, you couldn't get that type of money anymore. You couldn't. The people are not there anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
After a year, 2 years, what happens when the same people are in the same scene? Girls and boys get together, they disappear, they have children, and then the scene starts disappearing. It's not the
Dissipating.
same. You need to bring more new blood in. And what happened is new music was happening, and other people were getting into rockabilly, other stuff instead of the ska.
Right.
Right? They were not inspired or excited about it anymore.
Yeah.
Hepcat had kind of broken up for a while.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, so the stuff, there's not a lot of stuff happening. So what do you do? So you start figuring out, and then so I cut out. And the thing was that I told myself, I'm not gonna go back in unless, because I think I paid my dues.
Yes. Yes.
So it's not until someone offers me money to go do something versus me like, let me go find a hustle. And that's what happened. Some bar came to me like, listen, we're just gonna give you $150. Just come in and DJ and book a band. I'm like, that's not a lot of money. But at the same time, you're back in the game
Yes.
and you're getting paid. And you don't have to worry about the door or anything.
Yes.
And then you're getting free beer all night. So my thing was like, I would get bands, and I'm like, and I talked to my friend Donald,
Yes.
who's always been my go-to guy. He owns a studio, and that's where we do where we recorded, I think, 4 of these singles that I put out in my label in the last 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
I went to him. I said, listen, I just lost my train of thought.
You went to Donald's because he. Oh, that's right, huh?
Basically recommending something that you guys have done recently to get people started to. So a lot of people may have not heard
Oh.
your music. Like I've never heard you until today. Really, I never really knew that you had this much.
Yeah, we got started kind of crazy because and what I'm trying to say is I started with the ska, but then when I
Right.
came back,
The rockabilly came in.
the rockabilly, all this stuff. So in
remember that.
2008, I came back, and the first record I did was the Delirians.
Oh wow. Okay.
And Donald was helping me DJ at this club. So me and him were DJing, and then we're like, okay, how are we gonna split $150 because we still got to pay a band. And like, you know what, band $75, free beer, and then me and him would split $75. And then got to the point, I'm like, bro, you know what, I'll just do it, or you just do it, because this is not working out. So then we were making, then that started. And then after that, there was another bar, San Pedro, the Bruco, who's like, we're going to offer you $200. I'm like, oh, that's more money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So went over there, and you have different beer. Okay, better. And so it was a better vibe. And then from then on, I started working with all these bands. I started booking other bands. One of the first bands that I was working with was the Delirians. And I heard them. I'm like, wow, these guys, they got it. And I told them, hey, if you guys want to put something down together, let's do it. And it took about 1.5 years. And then they finally said, okay, let's do it. No, yeah, a little under a year. And then they had something. And then this is the first record I put out when I came back. And it was all the ska and reggae vibe. And then I did a series of ska records. It was 6 records, where it was the Delirians, the Debonaires, Bricks and Sounds, the Allentons, and a band from El Salvador called the Blue Beat Makers and the Bullets. Those Bullets. And that's when I started getting back into it. And after I put out those 6, I made a box set, and I did a big party. It was like a 20-year anniversary party at the Grand Star, and that was great. And then after that, I still kept doing the ska shows, and then I started a club called Intensified, which just focused on ska and reggae, and I would be booking bands. But then there were so many ska and reggae bands. I mean, reggae shows everywhere. I'm like, you know what? I got to switch it up. And at the same time, I'm like, I'd like to play some of this cumbia that I've been hoarding all these years, and I haven't had a place to play it. And then that's where Jason Lawless, rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Jason.
He was always, when I got back into it, he was like, oh man, I'm glad you're back doing shows, and let's work together. And me and him will work together on different projects. And this club called Intensified, we're working together. And he's like, there's this band called Very Be Careful. I say, I know that band. I've been trying to work with them. He goes, oh, I know Art. And then that's how we kind of started working together.
Wow.
So then I booked Very Be Careful. And then within 2 months, we changed the name of the club to Barrio Funky.
Nice. So that's how Barrio Funky started.
Yeah.
Out.
And then because I was doing all these bands, Barrio Funky, guess what happened?
What's that?
I started recording bands like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
So so I did all that, and then one of the first bands that I recorded when I came back, and I changed everything up, was the Commons. I did this record, And the deal with them, I told them, listen, man, I want you guys to do two sides. I'll give you the songs, just do them. And one song was this rocker, and the other song was a psychedelic cumbia. So they told me the day of for the studio, they're like, we're not going to do the psychedelic cumbia. I'm like, bro,
Oh, wow.
what? He goes, but we're going to do another song, another cumbia. It's the Selena song, the Carcancha. I'm like, oh, that's the song in your set. He goes, yeah. And we know that song. I said, perfect, run it. So we did that. And I was a little disappointed, but at the same time, I was happy with the end product.
Yes.
The comments, I'm like, great. So then at the same time, what am I doing? I'm DJing Barrio Funky, and I'm playing the cumbias, and then from then on, other clubs see me or other guys see me, so I'm playing other places. So I'm starting to play different places and playing the cumbia vibe, and people are digging it. And then you get other DJs playing cumbias, and then that starts growing. That scene starts growing, and then I start booking Roxanne's in Long Beach. They call me to do Taco Tuesdays, and I'm like, dude, forget it. Taco Tuesdays, no, man.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, it's a Tuesday. He's like, listen, we have a budget. Here's the money. I'm like,
Wow.
okay.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. DJs, here's the DJ for the night, and then it started off with DJ and the band, and it was cooking. Things were
Wow.
cooking. And every Tuesday, and we had a live band, 2 sets, a DJ, and it was like it was like good for a while. And that's where I discovered a bunch of bands.
Wow.
Spaghetti Cumbia was one of them. Betty's Mustache is another one. Leche is another one. I mean, it just, because every week I had to have a different band.
Wow.
So it was like I was getting all these bands, and then those bands, I'm like, hey, I think you're good enough to play LA, and then I bring them into Barrio Funky. So I had a whole little circuit going on, and it was under control.
These are all local bands then.
Yeah, local bands.
Wow.
And then when I saw Spaghetti Cumbia, I said, hey man, I think you guys, I was booked with them at one show, and they're like, hey, how you doing? How do they know about you here? I don't know. I didn't know you guys were playing here. And I remember drinking the beer, listening, I'm like, these guys are tight. They got it. And like thinking, let me have them record that song that the Commons didn't want to do.
Ooh.
So then
Everything happens for a reason.
So they did it, and I was like, yes. So I recorded it, and there you go. Now it's on there.
Well, we definitely gonna have to hear it. I know you were talking about the Delirians, and I see you got the needle dropped on something right now.
Well, I wanted to play that. I'll give you a little sample of that, because that was one of the first, obviously, the 7 inches I put out when I got back.
Wow.
And it was one of those things where you're like, okay, I'm back in the saddle.
Yes.
The first thing you do is like a little accomplishment.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, now this is going to lead to more. This is going to lead to more. And incidentally, the B side is called Overdub, which I like a lot because it's an instrumental, little dub.
Okay.
And it was written by Joe Quinones.
Okay.
This record is the time where me and Joe started a relationship, because after this, I put out JQ and the Reviews EP. Then I put out his Saucy Horn album. It was Saucy Horn, Barrio Joyride.
Wow.
And then I did this one right here with him, the Don't Let No One Dub You Down. And then I did the Steady 45s, which he joined, and then he wrote that song. The B-side is Mama Said, and the A-side is Trouble in Paradise. And I put that one out. And then after I put that one out, he's like, listen, I'm joining another band. Maybe you should put this record out too. I said, what's the band? He goes, the Altons.
Wow.
I said, sure. So I put that record out. And then after that, he leaves the band, or he comes in and out of the band, and then he starts his own band, The Sinceres, and now that's where he's at.
Joey's a busy man. He's
Yeah.
got his fingers in a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah, man. You got to keep working. It's the hustle. It's just
Yeah.
like, and I know that he has an inner drive. He has an inner drive, because I remember when he gave me the masters for that one, we were talking about. He's like, man, there's a lot of things going on. I want to do more than what I'm doing. I'm like, dude, just keep doing, man. Just keep going. Keep going.
That's good.
Keep going. So let me drop a little bit of this, and then I'm gonna drop maybe a little bit of the Spaghetti Cumbia.
Please do, man.
All right, here we go. This is the Delirians Overdub. All right. Coming up, Spaghetti Cumbia.
Nice. So that was the Delirians there.
Yes. Spaghetti Cumbia has a story behind this track. Originally, I wanted the Comets to do it. They opted for Sabina. So Spaghetti Cumbia was a perfect candidate. As you can hear.
Spaghetti Cumbia. That's nice, man.
Yeah. See, so Frank, to tell you what's one song or what one release,
Yeah.
one of these would not do it justice because you've got some of the reggae stuff, you've got some of the psychedelic cumbia, then we have Leche with some funk, some hardcore Latin
Yeah,
funk.
I've heard that Leche, bro. That one's
And
it's
the
killer.
Commons is this some wild Tijuana style rock and roll,
Nice.
Yeah.
which it's all over the place. So there's a sampler that I put out, and it's called Antojitos, and it gives you a little bit of everything. The latest one is Leche. Well, actually, the latest one I have is Matamosca. But that's not on here because this came out maybe about 7 months ago. There's Leche, which is Latin funk. Then there's Betty's Mustache. They do a sweet cover of Dua Diddy, but
Okay.
in
Sweet.
cumbia style.
Wow.
Cumbia Dua Diddy. And when I first heard that, I'm like, you guys, we need to record that. We need to record it. It took us like a good year to get to it, but we finally
Wow.
did it, and it's on here. It's
Good,
also the
good.
7-inch. Then La Diabla, they play a straight up sabanera, old school Colombian cumbia, which is not like this. This is more traditional instrumentation, with the huiro and a bunch of different just old school stuff. And then we have Very Be Careful. That's an album they put out, Daisy's Boutique, no, Daisy Salon. That's all Vallenato stuff. Matamosca, and then Matamosca, I think that is a cover of I believe Voodoo Gloscos, maybe. I
Hmm.
think so. No, it's not. It's the next one. I'm confused. I got so much stuff going on. Then you got Spaghetti Cumbia there, and then the Altons on here, and then finally, okay, and the Altons, that's another thing. That Altons like pop.
Yes.
Alton's like really good soulful pop. It's not like this. It's different. And then you've got Saucy Horn. Now Saucy Horn goes under like how many names does it go under?
So where do we get this at? It's a CD then. compilation.
Actually, you know what? You could get it on the website, on the steadybeat.com website. You could find it in the shop. I think it's only like $5.
steadybeat.com, right?
However, a secret, if you buy any record off Steady Beat or anywhere off Discogs,
Yeah.
and it comes from me, you get that for free.
Awesome.
Nice. So
It's
what
a
is
nice
what is
little
your Discog so people know that?
Steady Beat Recordings
Steady Beat
Steady
Recordings
Beat
on
Recordings.
Discogs
on Discogs.
and steadybeat.com.
.com. Yeah.
Okay.
And also there's a Steady Beat Bandcamp page.
Oh, good. So
Bandcamp.
either source is fine as long as they purchase it direct from
Yeah.
Steady Beat.
It comes from
Um,
me, and you will get that sampler.
This is a great idea, bro. Because as I know personally, you're well all over the place with your recordings, and this is a good idea to put out just a sampler, one from each, so that
Yeah.
you kind of get an idea. I mean, has this boosted sales in the?
Oh yeah,
Since you
yeah.
put it out?
I gave a bunch to my distributor, and then from then, all of a sudden I got a few distributors in Europe that are carrying my products now.
Wow.
Which is a plus. It's like, yes, there's some sales there. There's some sales, and that's what you need, because sometimes, like what Jimi Hendrix did. he couldn't get popular here. He had to go to England.
Yes.
Then like, yeah, he's the greatest. And then over here, like, oh yeah, he is.
Follow the leader.
Get out of
right?
here with that.
How many of these samplers did you press up, bro?
I think I was 300.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
very limited. So
Yeah, limited.
people need to jump on it.
Every time I have a sale, I make sure I throw one in there so people get that little surprise.
Good.
It's
Because
good.
everyone has a CD player, and you know they
That's
buy
right.
the vinyl because they want it, and then they realize, wow, it's already digitized.
Yes.
And then it makes them want to go back and actually buy these 7-inch singles.
Oh, then they hear the rest of the stuff.
See,
So like, well,
seeing them on there, you're like, oh man, I gotta have this one. Oh wait a minute, I gotta get this. Wait, I gotta get this one too. And you better get them while you can, right?
right? Because
Wow.
I'll do a pressing of 500,
Yeah,
and then I'll probably do a repress of 3, and then after that,
that's
no
it.
more.
Yeah,
That's it.
so you guys got to make sure you jump on that at steadybeat.com and pick these things up while you still can at a good, reasonable price.
yeah. Otherwise, secondhand, forget about it.
Yep.
You know, like the Yeska. I did the Yeska 45 back in
Okay.
the day too. I saw a site selling it for like $100.
Oh wow.
I'm like, I'm like, oh wow, wow.
That's all right.
It's like, I'm like, man, I got 2 or 3 at home. I'll sell it to you for 50 if you want.
Yeah, man.
You know, and yeah, it's cool.
So are these a digital download, or this is the only way you could get is a physical copy then?
If you buy any of those on the website,
Yeah.
you get the digital download.
Oh, awesome.
If you go to
Awesome.
steadybeat.com and you buy any of those 45s, you get it'll send you an email with the link and you download the song.
That's good. Awesome.
And
Okay.
then once you get it in the mail, the actual product, you get a CD with it too.
Good. So you
Sweet.
get to listen to it beforehand while you're
Yeah.
waiting for it to get
Sweet.
to you.
Yeah.
Smart. So
Anticipation.
I'm looking at this Leche 45 El Samurai.
Yes.
Beautiful cover, beautiful artwork. The tune itself, man, when you played this for me, right up my alley, bro. I love it. I love the vocals. I love the horns. So definitely that would be something that I would like to see more of.
Latin funk.
I know you're all over the place though, man. With your,
Yeah.
from the cumbia to the reggae, you know, to the soul. But this is a beautiful tune from the band Leche. And it's El Samurai is the name of the tune.
Exactly.
Man, if you guys get a chance to cop this out, especially my hip hop heads, if you guys are big into hip hop, you really love that one. Masterpiece right there.
Very b-boy type vibe. Yeah, so what I'm working on right now, what actually am I working on right now? I just received some test pressings that I really have to scrutinize. That's Bricks and Sounds.
Okay.
Bricks and Sounds, they're from Oaxaca.
Really?
I didn't tell you that, huh?
No.
When you heard it,
I love
they're from
Oaxacan
Oaxaca.
food though, man.
They're from Oaxaca, and for them to sound that jazzy and that pro style, you're like, whoa, dude, what's going on in Oaxaca? But they're Oaxaca, and I had done a 45 from them previously for that box set I did,
Okay.
and those sold out quick. So I'm thinking these guys are pretty good. And then they asked me, hey, do you want to do more stuff? I'm like, I do, but I got a lot on my plate. So then they recorded an album and they put it out through Jump Up Records out of Chicago.
Okay.
So then they recorded a few songs, and then they hit me up and say, hey man, we got some songs if you want to go ahead and pick out some songs. I'm like, I picked 2 of them. Boom. And like, great. And that's what it is. So I've got a 7-inch coming out by them, probably hopefully in March. And then some songs I just got mastered yesterday, Los Agrios.
Okay.
That's some skinhead reggae.
Oh, really?
See, and again,
Okay.
now I'm going in
No,
that
that's-
direction.
That's great, man.
That's some
Variety.
skinhead reggae. They're local from LA, and they're the newest, hottest skinhead reggae band. It's a 4-piece. They got some crazy keyboard action going on, so they sound very, very raw,
Wow.
very upsetterish. You know
Okay,
what I'm
good,
saying?
Good.
But not so crazy, but in that vein, you know. So I like them, and that's the next 7-inch, probably in April. And then I'm working on my own personal thing, King Steady Beat. It's going to be some obscure psychedelic cumbia covers, if
Okay.
you will.
Yeah.
These songs have been out, but they've been lost forever. and
Yeah.
I come across songs like this every now and then. I'm like, there needs to be more of this. So you get to the point like, then just make it yourself.
That's it. It's great to have someone like you who goes back and discovers all this rare music that's long forgotten and having to recreate it, man. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, Leche, that's
Preserving it.
typical example. Leche El Samurai is from an obscure EP from a private label from the 70s in Spain.
Wow.
And it was the only Latin funk song on a flamenco cumbia.
Wow.
EP.
I'd love to hear that now because I really love this single, man.
Yeah.
You know what? We only got about 4 minutes left of the segment.
Okay.
And I have to ask you, bro.
Yeah.
How did King Steady Beat come about? your name?
Oh, all right. That name is actually pretty new because back when I was DJing, I was DJ Risk back in the 80s, right?
Yes.
And then you know, you don't DJ for a while. And what happened was um, the band Melting Pot. Donald, he's the lead singer in that band. We're going back to Donald again, you know, because you got to surround yourself with people that are gonna work with you and make things happen, dependable people. And like he's one of the guys, go-to guy. So he was in Melting Pot, and he was like, they would have this gig like once a month at the Bruco. This is before Rockers on the Waterfront. This is
Okay.
way back. And then one time he called me. He said, "Hey, listen, can you come DJ while we're playing? Because I can't DJ at the same time while I'm playing. You know, I can't stop and go DJ." I'm like, "Oh man, I'd love it, dude. I haven't DJed in a long time." This is one of those. This is during that period.
The return.
2004, 2000. This is like 2005 right here.
Okay.
2006. I wasn't doing anything. You know, like it's local. You're gonna pay me $50. Okay, man. I'll go DJ. So I DJ'd, and then when I was DJ'd, and then I did the first set, and I was like, all right, cool, everything's cool. I was happy because I was bringing out all the stuff I bought in Jamaica, and,
Nice.
and I was like, yeah, man, I'm
Sharing
getting
it.
down. It's good. I'm playing stuff I haven't played actually anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then my Donald gets on the mic. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming back around. I'd like to give a big thank you to King Steady Beat.
yeah.
Nice.
He just blurted it out, and I'm like, really?
That's how it happens.
Because you know, he figured Steady Beat, but King, boom,
Yeah.
that's me.
Sweet.
It worked out great.
And that's like 2005,
Wow.
2006. So
Here we
that's-
are 15 years later and you're still rocking it.
Wow,
man.
15 years later.
Imagine that, right?
It doesn't seem that way, but yeah. So that's how that came about.
That's beautiful, man. I'm so grateful that you came in, you came back.
Thank you for inviting me, man.
Man, we could totally go on. There's so much. I mean, your history. You're painting a picture with all the words that you speak, and I'm trying to envision the life of King Steady Beat. You know, I'm trying to understand what's going on in your brain, but it's really all over the place, man, and in a good way.
Yes.
In a good way. So the productions, all the works that you've done, thank you for that. I'm sure I'm not alone when I say thank you. Like there's a lot of people out there
appreciate
that are fans of some of the bands that you've produced. You know, from the ska authentic to
Yeah.
now, you know
To
what I
now,
mean?
yeah, that's-
It's like a lot of stuff. So thank you for all that, all your hard work that you still put in today, bro.
Well, thank you, man. Thank
Once
you for,
again,
appreciate it.
For those that don't know, you've been listening to the man that is the reason why Frank and I are doing Bridge City Radio. The man that connected us, that called me one day. And when you called me, bro, and you're like, hey, would you like to do a 1-hour show on live a radio wave? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great.
He
You
thought
know,
it was 1 hour.
yeah, I'm thinking,
Oh,
okay,
just
cool. I'll bring a
1
set,
hour.
you know, I'll bring a box, you
1
know.
hour.
And then you're like, no, bro, it's your show. And I'm like,
Yeah, for real.
So thank you, man. And
Well,
I
it
hope,
looks like you're doing good, man. Looks like you're handling it, man.
man, Frank, I need with a partner like Frank, man, I can't go wrong. You know, we work well together, and we've been doing music for a long time together. So
Most importantly, man, we just appreciate you coming out, man. And now, you know, more than a friend, you got a fan now, and
that's right.
definitely
Thank
gonna
you.
be looking up your music, man. This is some really good stuff here.
Just real quick, I do have a personal podcast.
Oh,
Okay.
please.
on Mixcloud.com.
Okay,
Mixcloud.com, and just search Pirate of the Caribbean. And I have like 50 some odd podcasts, and every one is different.
sweet.
One could be Latin funk, the other one could be cumbia, the other one could be reggae, because everything's from the Caribbean.
Yeah. It's great music,
Pirate of the
man. And
Caribbean.
great. I love the name, and I'm definitely gonna add you on there, man.
Thank you, man.
Listen
And-
to all your
and-
podcasts.
Once again, if you could just give us any other contacts. I know you got Instagram, Facebook, you got you know, your
follow
website.
Steady Beat Recordings on Instagram. Follow that, Steady Beat Recordings on Instagram, and then you'll be up to date with everything I'm doing. King Steady Beat on Instagram as well. Soul Tropical. Aside from producing all this stuff, I have like 6 monthlies, so I'm always busy, man.
Good,
I'm always
good,
busy, and I'm good with it. I'm good. Stay
Good.
busy and keeping on, man. That's all you got to say.
Keep steady. There you go. The man himself, King Steady Beat, blessing us with his life, small portion of his life.
Yes.
So we want to thank you guys for tuning in once again, and hope you guys have a blessed evening. 100.7 Bridge City Radio.
Thank you.